Hey BookTube, it's Samantha and I'm participating in Becca's Bookopoly Readathon. This is Becca's first readathon that she's hosting by herself, and it sounds like she's planning on doing this again in the future, which I'm really excited about seeing how this goes. But I am just excited for the perfect timing on this because my husband is out of town and I can get a whole bunch of reading in, hopefully. So she has initially done 2 prompts, and you can either pick and choose if you only want to do one or if you wanted to try and attempt both. For me, I'm going to try and do 2, but my main goal is 1. And then we're gonna get 2 additional prompts every 12 hours. From what I understand, it's a 48-hour-a-thon. We'll see how it goes. So initially, what I know I'm going to read is going to be something I can complete within the 40 hours is Hammered by Hearne. This is for her prompt for a paranormal or magical realism book. This definitely fits in with the paranormal, and it's one that I said that I really want to pick up soon, so might as well do it now. I know I'll breeze through it. It's perfect for right now. The second prompt that she had was her chance prompt, and she had said that you could base it off of whatever your own prompts are, because everything is purely focused for her own prompts that she's designed for herself. But based off of what she pulled as a chance, I figured I would take the opportunity. So the book that she pulled for her chance was Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. And I finished Leviathan Wakes, but I haven't read Caliban's War yet. It is a book I've been eyeing on my shelf for a little while, and I think I'm at a point where I'm ready to keep going with the series. I've actually started a little bit of it because her challenge, you don't necessarily have to start the book after the readathon starts. You just have to be somewhere within there. So I tried to get a head start on it, but I didn't get very far, but that's okay. I'm not necessarily expecting myself to finish this book within 48 hours, but if I could get a good chunk of it read, I'm gonna consider that goal met. And then kind of on the sidelines, I wanna see if it comes up for a prompt, and then I can count it. I've been reading Decider by Dick Francis. I am almost done. I think I have, I've got like 50 pages left. So I'm gonna wait and see if this book comes up for any of the prompts. And if it does, then I can just finish it and call it good. If you wanna call it cheating, call it cheating. I don't care. But Becca said that there are no rules with this challenge, and that does count. So I'm gonna take it. I've been in a reading slump. Whatever I can do to get myself on the up streak, I'm gonna do it. A book that I kind of have on the side, I don't know if I'm gonna necessarily pick it, but I have been staring at this for about 2 weeks now and really wanting to read it. So I think I might at least try to attempt starting it. But that's really the books that I'm hoping to finish or at least get a big chunk taken care of. But I'll be providing some updates as I go. So this is just at the beginning, and we'll see how my reading goals go. Okay, so just a quick update. I'm calling it a night. Oh my gosh. I've been only reading this book the entire night, and I am exactly a third of the way through. I am on page 201, and I'm really enjoying this book. Even though it is a thick book, it's almost 600 pages. It reads really well, and I was a little worried about not really understanding what has been going on since it's been a while since I've read Leviathan Wakes, which is book 1. And for about probably the first 10 pages or so, I was kind of second guessing myself, like I don't recognize these characters at all. But then when I thought about it and the more that I read, I realized this was my first time being introduced to these characters. I wasn't supposed to know who they were. So I would say for anyone where it's been a while since you've read the first one, you can still jump into this book. I just love the pacing in this. I feel like there's enough sci-fi talk in there for it to feel sci-fi, but not enough for you to get lost in the words or in kind of the technical mumbo jumbo. I really like the characters. There are some that are very well known to us already that make appearances again, which I really love. And the action is definitely still there. I like how they are developing one of the characters, making it a little bit more morally ambivalent of what, I don't know if that's the right phrasing of words, but he's just kind of questioning his moral stance, which is really interesting. It makes him kind of a deeper character. And I am really enjoying it so far. I definitely think that I could finish this book this weekend. I don't know how many other books I can read on top of that if I do prioritize this. So we'll see. I think I can still get through Hammered. I think that book is still doable along with completing this one if I decide to complete this one. So we'll see. I'll let you know how things go in the morning. Good morning. I just woke up. I don't know what time it is. And Becca's already done the roll drop for the third and fourth prompt. The third one is culturally diverse. And I actually think I'm still gonna use Caliban's War for that because there is a lot of different rep in there. And then prompt 4 is a viewer recommendation. And I've been sitting here debating what I would do for that. So what I am planning on doing for the day is I want to go out for a walk right now before it gets too hot. I'm in South Carolina, so it's been really humid and really hot for a while now. I want to get in a walk, come back, take a quick shower, and then so that it can wake me up, and then jump into Caliban's War, get a good section of that read, and then whenever I do need to take a break, get something done around the apartment. I don't know what. And then I might jump into Hammered and try to knock that out really quick. And we'll kind of see what happens with that. But I haven't really decided. The viewer recommends is probably the easiest one because I do have a good amount of books that I know people have recommended. It's just a matter of if I have time to read them. That's my biggest problem at the moment. So I want to see where I get with Caliban's War and Hammered today. And definitely Decider is not one that, it is not culturally diverse, and it is definitely not viewer, well, I mean, I shouldn't say definitely not, but it hasn't been oh, wait. The thing is, my mom and my grandpa had recommended the author to me. Maybe that would count. I can bend the rules the way I want, right? So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use Decider as my viewer recommends because it is a book that my family has recommended to me. And then that way I can get that done and taken care of out of the way. Very excited about that. Okay, but I need to go for a walk though. I need to wake my body up, and it's gonna be really good for me to get some fresh air because I don't remember the last time I was outside. I will check back in with you guys later. Okay, so I just finished Decider by Dick Francis. I decided that I wanted to go ahead and use this for the viewer recommends prompt, and I definitely finished it really quick. I have a lot of thoughts about the ending, and I'm kind of torn because it is a mystery story. At the end of every mystery is when the plot is being revealed and everything. There's no way to talk about the stuff that I have questions about without quote unquote spoiling it. But there's like certain things that people consider as not being a spoiler, like a trigger warning. And one of those things is in here, but it's talked about so briefly that I don't know if it necessarily would be triggering. Like, it's literally maybe one page and it doesn't go into any depth or anything. It's just wrapping it up, just sharing the information. So I'm really torn about whether I should talk about it or not. I don't know whether to give a trigger warning for it because I don't know if it would be triggering. So kind of in a debate about that. So if you could let me know down in the comments about what you think, especially when I do the wrap up for this month, let me know your thoughts on whether I should talk about my thoughts about the end of the book or not. Yeah, I'm very curious. But overall, I gave this book 4 stars because I really did enjoy the story for the most part. But considering the fact that I don't know anything about horse racing, this was really enjoyable and easy to follow. So very excited about that. I am going to eat lunch because I haven't eaten anything today. And I'm really wanting to dig into Caliban's War a little bit more. I'm thinking maybe it would be nice if I could get 2/3 of the way through and then just spend the rest of the day working on Hammered. I don't know if I'm going to get through 2/3 of it all in one go or if I'm going to take my time with it. But we'll see. I'm going to eat lunch and then jump into this. Okay, update time. I've been reading this book for a very long time. That long of a time. I think just about 100 pages, like a little over 100 pages left. I don't know whether I'm wanting to finish this tonight or not. But the next 2 prompts that came out were to read a mystery or a thriller, which Decider actually fits for. So I think I'm going to count that. And then the second, or I should say the 6th prompt, is to read a book that you've been gifted. And if you don't have a gifted book, it could be one that you've borrowed, one that someone else is borrowing, or something else. I'm still trying to work out because technically I did borrow Decider from the library. I could have that be one of my books, but I also kind of want to take advantage of reading through some of my other library books that I have. Let me see what I currently have. The ones that I do have are Helen and Troy's Epic Road Quest. This is a book that's probably going to need to be due back soon. I'm thinking it's kind of like on the same level of Iron Druid Chronicles. Forgot what it was called. So that's an option. And then I recently picked up Random Harvest. I can't remember the author's name. James Hilton. I only know about this because of the movie, and I absolutely adore the movie. So I figured I'd read the book. And while it looks a little bit on the thicker side, like the Epic Road Quest, it is small, but it also is an older book, so the margins are extremely small. Let me see if I have anything else that would qualify for gifted. I've really been wanting to read Mexican Gothic, is hopefully one that would qualify, but so far it doesn't. So we'll see what happens with that. I do have Beneath a Scarlet Sky, and I also have The Stand, but those are both really big books that I definitely don't think I'm going to get through. I was gifted The Power, which is a book I have been wanting to read. I just don't know if I can read it. Like, I'm really wanting to read something that's shorter. All of my books I've kind of determined are gonna be a little bit too long. I'm definitely still planning on reading Hammered, because I definitely think I can knock that one out in probably 4 hours or so. The only other books I could think that I could possibly read in a short amount of time would be Sean McGuire's. I haven't read the first book yet, which is Sparrow Hill Road. It's not too bad. And her books I can usually get through relatively quickly. So between that or Mexican Gothic, those are the only books that I think that I actually own that I could actually use for the challenge. Otherwise, I'm going to have to turn to the library. So fingers crossed. I'm doing pretty good with hitting all the challenges so far, especially since Decider covers a couple of them and Caliban's War covers a couple of them. So I'm hoping that the last two prompts that I'll get in the morning are going to be ones that are doable. So I'm going to try and finish Caliban's War. I think that's what I'm going to do, and then get as far as I can in Hammered tonight. Definitely won't be finishing Hammered tonight, but at least get through as much as I can and still definitely get a good night's sleep tomorrow night. And then I had talked to my husband, because my husband is out of town. That's the reason why I've been able to do so much reading. And he's not going to be coming back into town until 11 o'clock at night. So good thing is that I've got, like, I can actually do a whole bunch of reading tomorrow as well, up until when the readathon ends. But man, I'm gonna be up late. So, because I have to pick him up from the airport. So I'm gonna try and get as good quality sleep I can tonight, because I'm probably not gonna sleep that great Sunday night. Here we go. Gonna keep on reading, and I'll probably check in once I finish Caliban's War. It took me all day. It took me 2 days, which normally it takes me longer, but I did it, guys. I finished it. It's literally 600 pages and I finished it. That last sentence. This is really good. Like 5 stars, legit. I could see myself rereading the series again. I don't know if I would do it in 2 days again. I rarely have this much time to just sit and read, but I was able to, though. Like that shows when you're really invested in a book, if you can actually just sit down and read it. Not every 5-star book you can sit and just read and read and read. There are some books where you have to just read a little bit of it and let it digest, but this is one of those books where, oh man, I just wanted to read all of it. It does give me Illuminae vibes. So if you're wanting to read something like Illuminae, but more adult, this is very good. Also, if you're not wanting so much of the romance stuff, this is a really good series too. There is a little bit in there, but I feel like it's realistic. You know, a lot of times with romance, it gets a little cheesy for some people, or it's a little unrealistic. I feel like the relationships done in here are really done. The friendships as well as the other ones. So good. But I'm so tired though. It's 10 o'clock at night and I've been reading for almost 12 hours. I wouldn't say it's straight because there's been times where I would take a few minutes to watch a video or took a few minutes to clean up or whatever. But legit, for the past 12 hours, 95% of that time has been reading. So I am tired, but I am glad that I finished this. That will conclude for cultural diversity, because there's a lot of different ethnic backgrounds, as well as just the Belters, the Earthers, and the Martians all being different as well within their own cultures in the book. And then this also qualifies for the chance card. And then this is the book I'm going to be picking up next, is Hammered. This one I should definitely be able to blow through tomorrow for sure. But I'm very curious to see what the prompts are going to be tomorrow morning, because I think it's 7 a.m. that the prompts are going to come out for me. I do not set my alarm on the weekends, so whenever I wake up, I'll find out. And it may determine whether I'm gonna read another book. We'll see what happens on what books I read, but I'm definitely planning on picking up this book and we'll go from there. So I will see you all in the morning. Okay, just woke up and I slept longer than I thought I would. It's like 10 o'clock, which is crazy because I actually went to bed at somewhat a decent hour. But anyway, the last two prompts are young adult fantasy and a contemporary or romance. And I actually think that Hammered is gonna work for the contemporary or romance, because Becca put that if you don't have a contemporary on hand, which I never do, I don't read contemporary, that if it's set in modern day times, that'll work. And this is an urban fantasy, which is definitely set during current modern times. So this should count for that. My worry is the young adult fantasy. I don't have any on hand. I do know that I have Keys of the Kingdom by Garth Nix on ebook that I should have access to. I just don't know how long it's going to take me to read them. And the fact that I woke up so late has me a little worried. I think what I'm going to do is focus on reading Hammered, because that is 2 or 3 prompts that I'm supposed to be reading for. So I definitely gonna finish that. And then if I have time, I'll read the young adult fantasy one. But if I don't think I have enough time, then I might just not do it, which is kind of a bummer. But considering that I finished Caliban's War within 2 freaking days, I really shouldn't be so hard on myself, especially since I was in that reading slump for so long. Like, this is impressive. So, yeah, I'm gonna read Hammered and I'll update you as things go along. So, last time I checked in, I was reading this little bookie here, and then I got about 54 pages in, and decided I was really tired of reading at the moment and I needed a little break. So I ended up talking with my mom on the phone for a little bit, and then I went out shopping, and I'm actually really happy with a lot of the stuff that I got. Near where I live, we have like an outlet mall. So I stopped at Bath & Body Works and got me a bunch of soap. Got Cactus Blossom, which I love that scent. And then I really like eucalyptus mint, so I got that. And then my husband found that he really likes the scent of Crisp Morning Air. So I bought 2 of these because they had like a 2 or 4 for $24. You know, Bath & Body Works. And then I just bought some antibacterial hand spray, which I know COVID, it's not a bacteria, it's a virus, but it does have 72% alcohol. And that's the part that matters, is that it kills off the germs. And then I went to Old Navy in hopes of buying some masks, and they did have some, but they weren't the ones I thought they were going to be, but I needed more fabric masks. So I bought some of those. I needed a new umbrella because mine is a Walmart one that's really crappy and doesn't have the button thing on it, and I found out how much I really enjoy the button, and it rains randomly here. So umbrella and some socks and a headband because I don't have a headband and I really needed one. And then went to the grocery store, and that's where I'm at right now. There is approximately 1 hour left of the readathon though, so I'm just gonna spend the next hour reading. And you guys don't really need to know what I'm doing after that, but yeah, after the 1 hour, I will update you on where I left off in this book, because I know I'm not gonna finish it, but that's fine. I'm totally happy with that, and I will do a quick recap once I'm done. So I'll see you in an hour. Okay, so the Becca's I'm not gonna be able to say that. The Bookopoly Readathon is officially over. So I'm going to just kind of recap on where I finished. So to talk about the books that I read, I had finished Decider by Dick Francis. I was already most of the way through, so I didn't read all of this during the readathon, but that was fine. I read start to finish Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. And I started but did not complete Hammered by Kevin Hearne. In regards to the prompts, the ones that I completed, or I guess we'll just go in order. The first prompt was paranormal or magical realism. I was going to use Hammered, but I didn't finish it. For the second prompt, it was the chance book. For the chance card, you can make your own pile of chance books to pull from, but I decided to take advantage of her chance and picked up Caliban's War. And then prompt 3 was culturally diverse. Again, Caliban's War, because there are different ethnicities represented, as well as you could take within the world scope of the book that you have the Belters, the Earthers, and the Martians as different races. The fourth prompt was viewer recommends, which for me, Decider, specifically the author, was recommended to me by my mom and my grandpa, so I took advantage of that since I was already most of the way through. Used that. Prompt 5 was mystery or thriller. Again, Decider fit that scope. Number 6 is a gifted book, and if you didn't have a gifted one, you could also use one that was borrowed. Again, Decider is a library book, so technically I am borrowing the book because I don't own it, so that qualifies. Number 7, the prompt was a young adult fantasy, and I was kind of debating about whether I was going to even read anything for this prompt, and I did not. And then prompt number 8 was a contemporary or romance, and I was going to use Hammered because it is set in modern day age, but again, I didn't finish it. So overall, I feel pretty good about that. I had completed 5 out of the 8 prompts. So that's really not too shabby. What did happen though was I did a good amount of reading on Friday. Like, it was kind of a normal amount of me focusing on reading on a typical evening. And then Saturday I spent, not consecutively, but I spent a lot of time reading. I think it was like 12 hours, and that was more than what I normally do. And especially with me being in that reading slump for a while, I wasn't used to reading so much. So when I woke up today, it wasn't that I wasn't in the mood for reading, but I was just kind of tired of reading. I was needing something else for a little bit. But I'm still happy with the progress that I made in this book. I believe I got to page 91, which is almost a third of the way through. So I am happy with how this turned out. I am very happy. I'm going to kind of talk about each of the books, but again, especially the 2 that I finished, I will be talking about them in my wrap up at the end of the month. But just in case there are some people who don't watch this video, watch the wrap up, or you do watch this one and not the wrap up, then I've talked about both of them. So first of all, with Decider by Dick Francis, this book was really interesting. I was expecting it to be like a murder mystery because it is a mystery. So I was expecting a murder to happen or someone to die. And I was expecting there to be a main character throughout all of Dick Francis' books that was a jockey. That was the main character that we follow. But actually, after having started reading the book and enjoying the book and wanting to learn more, here are some things that I learned that I think would be very beneficial in sharing with all of you. So what I learned is that Dick Francis is not one author. It is actually 2 authors using a similar name that they put together. The male that you see the picture of in the inside cover, his name is Richard. So he could go by Dick, but he doesn't because another family member does. But he normally goes by Richard, and then his wife also helps write these books. And he does state, I believe I read it somewhere, possibly Goodreads. Richard had stated that he's been very open about wanting to put his wife's name also on the cover, and has always been wanting to share the fame of writing these books, but she didn't want to be on the cover. So what they agreed upon was just to have a common name to represent both of them. So they decided on Dick Francis. So just so you know, that's that. Also, each of his books are not related whatsoever. A lot of mystery books, you have one investigator or one main character throughout all of the author's works, like Miss Marple or Sherlock Holmes or Hercule Poirot, or the one that I like by Joe Nesbo, Harry Hole. You're all following the same investigator, and each book is kind of its own mystery. You could read them individually, but it has the main character that you can kind of follow along with. Not the case with these books. I think I had said in a previous video that all I really knew was it had something to do with like a jockey or a racehorse kind of thing. And actually, the main character of this book, he's just like an architect or a builder, and he happens to own some shares of this race course, and the family members who own the majority of the shares are in this huge fight about what to do with the race course. So that's kind of where the start of the book and really probably a good chunk of the book is. And I know that doesn't sound interesting, like, Sam, seriously, shareholders and families fighting over it, like, come on. But it actually was really good. For the first time, and I don't know how long, it's not a murder mystery. I wouldn't consider that a spoiler because, I mean, the mystery throughout the whole book is not the murder. The mystery is finding out because the family uses blackmail on each other to kind of hold each other in line, and is trying to figure out what secrets each of the family members have against each other. So like, because you're curious, you want to know, like, what in the world are they holding against this person? Like, what exactly did they do, and why are they holding them this way, and why are they acting this way? So that's interesting to see. And then there is an event that happens in the middle of the book that you're also trying to figure out who did that event, who caused that event. That is spoilers, so I'm not going to say that. But it is kind of like in the middle, third part of the book. I overall enjoyed it. I definitely see myself picking up another Dick Francis book in the future. The ending, it wasn't necessarily the happiest of endings. Don't be reading this book thinking it's going to give you all the happy good feels, but it's not going to have you crying and being a complete mess either. Like, you could read this book at work and still be able to go about your day. So if that gives you any gauge of where to put this book at in regards to emotional feels, that's kind of how I feel about this. Ironically enough, I also found out that James S.A. Corey is the same exact situation as Dick Francis. It is two authors, and they agreed upon this name to represent both of them. So how I managed to do that, I don't know. I didn't know that. This is the second installment of the Expanse series, and Leviathan Wakes is the first one. I read Leviathan Wakes, oh God, was that earlier this year? I have no idea if it was earlier this year or if it was the end of 2019, because honestly, it feels like the past 4 months have been an eternity. So I have no concept of what I've read since I moved here. I just know that I read it after September 2019, but really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was my first, well, not necessarily my first sci-fi, because I've read Ender's Game, but I guess you could say it was my first soap opera. It's a space opera. And I just heard good things that the rest of the series is just as good, and that is 100% true. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't think I could have read it in 2 days if I was not enjoying this book. It has the right pacing when it comes to the action that's happening. You do see some of the reoccurring characters from the first book, but there's also a good amount of new characters that are being involved in the book or introduced in the book. So that was really nice to see. There is enough of the political background to know what is going on between all the different, the Belters, the Earthers, the Martians. There's enough of that going on so that you know the interplay of why things are so tense. But then there's also the scary factor that were introduced in book 1 that's kind of going on as well. I'm not going to say more on that. But just having it all just flow so seamlessly, it was really nice. It was a really fun read. I could see myself rereading these books for years to come. You know, I could see myself wanting to pick these up again. I know it's thick. I know, like, 600 pages, that seems like a lot, Sam. I know, it does. It sounds like a lot to me too. I like to typically pick up books that are 300 to 400 pages. I get it, but it's easy to read. If you're wanting to get into sci-fi, this is a great series to start with. If you get bored by things, it doesn't have enough action for you, you don't know where to go, this is a good place to go to. It does have that action in there. There's multiple action scenes in here, and it was a great ride. The last sentence, oh my goodness. I just want to go out and buy the third book and start reading the third book. That last sentence, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I kind of knew something like it was going to happen, and I was waiting for it to kind of happen, but then when it happened, I was not expecting it to happen like that. So I want to know more. I want to know more. And then lastly, I want to just kind of talk a little bit about Hammered. by Kevin Hearne. This is also book 2 of a series. The first one, oh wait, no, lie. This is not book 2, this is book 3. I made that mistake earlier. When I was reading book 2, what actually happened was I picked up this book first and I read the first 30 pages. And I was like, you know, there's a couple of things here that aren't really making too much sense, but maybe they're like kind of like jumping forward and they're going to jump back and catch up. And I was like, I know who that character is and that character is, but I don't remember anything happening. And then I went to go add it on Goodreads and found out that this is book 3, not book 2. Book 2 is Hexed. The first book is Hounded. So I had actually read 30 pages of this a few weeks ago. But for this readathon, I did reread those pages because I needed a refresher of what happened. And I really can't talk about this book because, like I said, it picks up where book 2 ended at. So I can't really talk about even the little bit that I've read so far. I can't really talk about it without spoiling it. But our main character is Atticus. He is a really old druid who is just trying to blend in. He's kind of found himself settling down in Arizona, and he's got 2 lawyers, one that's a werewolf and one's a vampire, and some paranormal people start coming in and messing things up for him, and you're just following him along. I think he's funny. I really love his hellhound, Oberon, who's so sweet and adorable and funny at the same time. I just really like following their adventures. Again, another one that is pretty action-packed. So if you're looking something that has action and keeps things moving forward, I think you'd really like this. It's definitely not a serious read by any means. I don't think it would win any Pulitzer Prize awards or anything, but I mean, I enjoy the book, and that's how I rate my books, is how I enjoy them. And I am sure that this is going to be another 5-star for me because I am thoroughly enjoying it so far. That was the readathon. I can't believe all of that happened within 48 hours. That is just insane. So I definitely think that my reading pace is going to slow a little bit down after this weekend, but I can definitely see myself picking up this book, finishing it within this week, and I'm very much excited to get to some of the other books that I've picked up. So until next time, see ya.